Bullshit.
Pretend for a moment we've entered a parallel universe free of bullshit and full of bold solutions. That's what the No BS show is all about. I'm your host, Dave Mastovich. Let's cut the bullshit. It's almost here, the big day for football and television advertising, Super Bowl Sunday. We all remember specific ads from past Super Bowls. The most successful ones excel in three key areas: memorability, making an emotional impact, and selling one big idea. With that criteria in mind, here are the No BS show's all-time top 10 Super Bowl ads. Number 10 is Pepsi, You're Cheating Hard from 1996. With the Hank Williams song playing in the background, the Coke delivery guy tries to sneak a Pepsi, and all the Pepsi cans fall out of the cooler. Busted. Number 9, Monster.com, When I Grow Up from 1999. When we're young, we have big dreams, then reality hits. This spot combines the two with kids saying things they wouldn't hope for. When I grow up, I want to be a yes man. But that unfortunately happened far too often. Number 8, McDonald's Big Mac song. Go ahead, sing it. To all beef patty, special sauce, no cheese. Number 7, Noxzema, Joe Namath and Farrah Fawcett from 1973. Joe's giggling, she's smiling. They're selling shaving cream. Number 6, E-Trade, the trading baby from 2008. Babies sell, plain and simple. Babies talking stocks even made fans of the losing team chuckle for a minute. Number 5, there's a fast food tie. McDonald's Showdown 1993. Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird in the ultimate game of horse. Nothing but net. Number 5, fast food tie, Wendy's Where's the Beef from 1984. Clara Peller's outburst becomes a national catchphrase. Number 4, Budweiser Frogs from 1995. Budweiser. Number 3, Apple. I messed that up. Number 3, Apple 1984 from 1984. Many advertising aficionados rank 1984 number 1 overall, and I'll be interested to see what our guest today thinks about this one. It's considered a watershed event because of the introduction of the Mac computer and an advertising masterpiece. It's been parodied so many times it has to be known and remembered by the masses. Number 2, they've got to get in there multiple times because they buy most of the commercials. Budweiser Respect 2002. This ad acknowledged 9/11 in a heartfelt, classy manner and only needed to be aired once ever. Drum roll. Can we get a drum roll? You guys know what's coming. Number 1, Coca-Cola Mean Joe Green from 1979. Hey, I'm an unabashed homer and proud of it. Did you really think I was going to pick a Super Bowl ad that didn't have anything to do with the Steelers? Our guest today is Mark Fallone. Mark is producer, director, wearing every hat, one of the most creative people I've worked with in this Pittsburgh region, and I've had the opportunity to work with him for 15 years. He's at Phenomenon Post, a Pittsburgh-based video and post-production company that supports a variety of national and international clients in the commercial, corporate, sports, and advertising industries. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. I wasn't sure how to start my reply there.
Well, that's unfair guesting by me, hosting by me.
No, it's good to be here. It is good to be here.
So let's go back to some of these. We'll start off in an unorthodox manner because today's show, ladies and gentlemen, just be complete disclosure. Mark and Suzanne and I have worked together on a lot of creative projects, and when we get together, we're kind of crazy.
It's been a bit of a reunion here in the studio.
It is.
Antics.
It is. And you were expecting
Memories.
Sushi and
I was
callers.
expecting
you thought people were calling?
Sushi, and I also thought there were callers to the show. And I had talked to a number of friends and relatives last night and gave them a number that I'm not sure where they're calling right now.
They're calling Mark Madden.
And I also can see that your board is not lighting up. So
no one's calling you.
So, hence the callers. I would like to say, though, that I did a little bit of homework, and I'm proud to say, and I will give you major accolades for the name of the show because you're in good company. In 1907, T.S. Eliot wrote a poem called "In Triumph of Bullshit." So you are in good company, and that poem was never published, though. So don't try to Google it and find it. I just know that he wrote it And I thought it was an interesting piece of information that was very unusable.
To claim that I'm in his company is a bullshit kind of way to start the show off.
So I think that we don't have to really go any further. If we could have the check for the sushi that never came, we'll call it a day.
Which of those Super Bowl ads, if any, resonate with you?
It has to be number 3. And the reason I say that is because it wasn't just an ad about product or services. It was an ad that was saying this is the kind of company that we are. And this is the why. You talk about the why a lot. Simon Sinek talks about the why Steve Jobs did, the why of what we do. And I think that spot broke. It was a sea shift in advertising. It was a sea shift in directorial matter with Ridley Scott being involved in it, and it was a disruptor to the 10th degree, the 9th degree, if you will. So that's why I like it. It was changed everything, like Steve Jobs and Apple did.
It was an amazing commercial. So we're going to get right into it because one of the things I joke about is I say Super Bowl Monday used to always be a bad day for me when I was in big corporations because I'd get voicemails and emails of everybody telling me which ads were great and why didn't our company ads look like this, because the day of the Super Bowl, everybody knows marketing. Okay, so my quick Mark Fallone story is, I'd like to think I know marketing. I've worked in marketing a little bit, but then when we go to do something creative, I'd say like, I kind of have an idea, and then Suzanne and I'd be working together, and she'd be kind of directing me, and we'd brainstorm a little bit, and then Mark would come to do the actual shoot, and you'd just go, damn.
Wow.
Damn.
You're talking about me.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you would take a general idea that a person who is a marketing executive, say, who then retains or works with a marketing creative person, who then works with the person that actually gets the shot. And when we could afford you, and I'm saying that complimentary, when we could afford you, it was pretty impressive.
You're very kind to say that, both of you. And I'm still locked into those same rates from 15 years ago. So
that's
I'd
what I like
to think
about
that
you.
I'm still affordable.
That's what I like
if
about
nothing
you.
else. No, you're as good as, it was, I appreciate those words, but you're always as good as the team that you've surrounded yourself with. That might be my bullshit for the day. I don't know if you're going to quiz me on that, but I believe that you're as good as the people that you surround yourself with, and hopefully you're going to surround yourself with. I like having people on set who know more than I do and who are going to say, "Are you sure you want to do that? Maybe we should do it this way."
Well, today, every show is about storytelling, leadership, and communication. But today is going to be fun because what I like about working with both of you is I watch you both take, when I was the client, I watched you both, I'm going to use this jokingly, handle me, because I have my ideas and you've got to make sure you appease me, and then I've got a boss, and you've got to work that. But then I watch you handle the people you're shooting. So we're going to get into a lot of different things about how you tell stories
Two
visually.
sides of the director.
And how there's more than just, people watch a commercial at the Super Bowl and they go, that one was crappy. But they have no idea that even the ones they think are crappy are so intense to design, to develop. So I want you to talk about that.
It took a lot of work to do the crappy ones as well as the great ones.
So start off by telling us a little bit about Phenomenon Post.
We are located up on Mount Washington. We have a small shop of 7 people, and we've got me directing and shooting, 2 editors, motion graphics, production coordination, and a business development person. And we also have a parent company that's in the ad business in D.C. who feed a lot of political work our way, and we have our own projects, both corporate and commercial, that we do for a variety of marketers and corporations here in the region.
Are there any big political ads you can tell me about in the past year that you did?
The ones that I worked on last year were all out of state. They were in Indiana and New Orleans, in Louisiana, if you will, state Senate or U.S. Senate races, congressional races. So
you're not handling Martin O'Malley's?
I'm not handling
He's doing well.
anyone currently right now.
He's doing well. He moved up from
personally.
0.5% to 0.75%.
Yeah. I also want to make sure, I also want to protect my politics a little bit here.
That's right. That's right.
We can have that conversation.
That's
off.
true. We do have to, I forgot about that. When you work anything on the political side, they immediately say, are you an R or a D? And then you're done. You're not.
Yeah. Well, I can happily say that was not a requirement of my employment. I was never asked that. So, and it's, we're in a competitive, Suzanne and I were talking earlier, we're in a competitive market right now. And with video being so integral to so many campaigns on so many platforms and so many people doing it. What did we say? Never before have so many people been breaking up the pie, if you will, and everybody's getting less of the greater need, if you will, because there are so many people, budgets are lower, more people doing it.
More people think they can do it themselves or do it without the high
exactly
level, or without direction.
Without direction, or I was listening to a podcast called the Content Marketing Institute, This Old Marketing, and Polizzi made a comment that there's a lot of corporate and commercial clients who believe they have the internal competency in place to do all this. And my reaction was, you can set up that department, internal competency, really for any external service you would have typically gone out of house for. Do you actually have the competency to do that and deliver it? And that's where you hope that from a marketing standpoint, services standpoint, that you've developed enough a relationship to defend positions against that kind of competition. And you just hope that you have good relationships at the end of the day where you get a chance to prove that you're
Every
worthy.
industry has their cross to bear, and our cross to bear is that if, let's say, you go directly to a freelance video person, then the next level is you go directly to a shop that has some quality video people, and the next is you go to a shop that has some creative direction. The next is you go to a company that has a person in the executive role who's creative.
Yeah.
And the difference in each of those four levels in quality is readily apparent, but so few people understand that difference.
Well said,
that they
yeah.
don't want to pay for it.
Well said. Whether it's masked or it's disguised as something else at times.
I had a client say to me, I'm just going to go directly to your video guy. And I said, what are you talking about? It's not a video guy or video gal. It's a team.
Yeah.
And do you think that the day we walked into the shoot was what happened, that guy was the gal? You don't think there was any work in
That
front
you
of
can be extricated from the process and nothing will change.
Yeah. So can our entire team, a writer, a creative person, a marketing strategist, a research. When we do marketing intel, that drives a lot of what the three of us work on is the intel. And people want to say, I just want to hire her. She shot it, so she can do the whole thing.
Well, it's everything that happens before you even say action.
Yes.
But really, that's the most important part of the work, because everything else should flow from that.
Well, you started at Phenomena Post a couple years ago, but tell us about way before that. Talk
Before.
about your
How
career
far
path,
back?
your journey to this point. I'm looking 5-6 years old.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
12,
what about
13.
my
How
polka
about
phase, where I went through a phase of being a polka?
That'd be good. That would help the storytelling around being.
Okay, I'm not gonna bore you.
You don't
or
have
your
to go with
audience
your
with
teenage job. You can,
No, it's just wow. I started as a control room director. During newscasts, take one, take camera two, take the mic cuer at Channel 12 up in Erie, the NBC affiliate. While I was in college, went to Nashville, Tennessee, and worked 2 years for the ABC affiliate down there on country music show, shooting news, shooting features. Came back to Pittsburgh in '84. July of '84, I started at Channel 4 Action News. In the golden years of local broadcasting with Paul Long, Don Cannon, all of them, DiNardo, you name it. I was so privileged to shoot with Lynn Cullen and Sally Wiggin and all of those groundbreaking journalists and reporters, and who, they were all very very appreciative of those videographers and news photojournalists that went out and shot for them and told the half of the storytelling, which was the visual and the writing and reporting the other. So I was there for 12 years at Channel 4. The last 6 of those years I worked in sales and programming and promotion. Shooting station image stuff as well as commercials for clients, and then left there in '95 to go work at New Perspective Productions, which was at the time a company in the Strip District, and was there for 20 plus years.
Wow.
Shooting and directing. Half of that time I headed up production at the company, and just saw a lot of talented people move in and out, and great clients and all that. So,
did you ever meet someone? Her name was Susan Meyer.
Susan Meyer, yeah, I did. I
She was at
eventually
New
learned it
Perspective
was
for a while.
Suzanne Mayer.
Yes.
But yes, gosh, I don't recall now the project, but you would have been at CO2, and I was Mon. It wasn't Duquesne before that, or
No,
afterward.
Mon Valley was
Mon
first.
Valley was the first one. Okay,
Tony
yeah.
Lombardi was a guest here.
Yeah. We shot a couple things on film.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Because that was a
Film.
big deal. We showed the
Oh, my
film, and you could
gosh.
see the difference. And
Yeah.
the board of directors at Monongahela Valley Hospital
They
went,
sensed it.
"Whoa."
Oh my gosh, we had Rich Schutte up on the parking garage shooting the
Yes.
exterior on 16 millimeter. I do remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, Suzanne. We worked together at New Perspective when she was at CO2, and now on a fluke, listening to one of your podcasts, it finally occurred to me who Suzanne was,
Yeah.
and I reached out and said, Dave, love the show. Who's Suzanne? Is that who I think it is? And I think your reply over LinkedIn was, we got the band back together.
Yep.
And then the next episode after that was the David Bowie tribute. And and then here we are.
Yeah.
And I know the sushi will be showing up at some point.
So,
it's running a
so
little
I'm going to
late.
go back because when you see this in the movies or on Saturday
See
Night
what
Live,
in the movies?
your first job, that job whenever you were the director saying, cut the camera
Yeah.
too. Talk about that for audience. Is it really hard? Because it makes it look
first
like it's
off,
intense.
let me just say that in subsequent years, I did a couple live studio directing jobs through QED in that amazing HD studio that they have in over there. Rewind quickly to WICU TV in Erie, Channel 12. I'm 22, 21 years old, acting like I know everything. I was unequivocally the worst control room director ever put on the planet. I would call cameras that weren't even part of the shoot. And the old guys would turn back and look at me like, what? We don't have that camera. And I would say, cue Charlie's mic. There's no one on set named Charlie. Okay, well, the next guy over, cue his mic. And by then, I'll never forget once during a political season, I don't know if they still call them this, but it was called a rollover. And what that meant was during political season, a local station could choose not to carry a spot in a network break. You could do a rollover and run a local ad for a politician. Well, I missed a rollover one night that I was supposed to run 4 local spots back to back and didn't see it on the log and let the PSAs from the network play. Station lost maybe $1,500
that's lost
or
money.
something.
From my business side, that would have frustrated me.
I got called into the news director's office 2 days later and thinking, he's going to tell me that was one of the finest shows I've ever seen anyone under the age of 25 direct, ever. So I go in and I'm thinking, yeah, go ahead, Eric. Tell me this. I did really well. He said, I won't say the word, the expletive. He said, if you ever miss a blank rollover again, I will make sure that you not only work at this station, or never work at this station again. I'll make sure you never work in Pennsylvania again. And I knew at that point that I probably better start thinking about the next step in my career, which was I moved to Tennessee. So I quickly realized that my tenure there was probably in jeopardy, even though I went on for the next couple months to do my job well. I realized I probably should consider. So I went to Nashville. I was in a witness protection program there, and broadcast witness protection. I think it was BWP. I think was the short name for it, but. So I was bad. I was so bad at control room directing, and the couple shows that I did in my latter years as a professional in Pittsburgh, I enjoyed it. They turned out well, but I was there. It's a real art. You're maestro to a multi-piece orchestra, from X amount of cameras to talent to roll tape, roll files now.
So when they show footage that in movies and shows prior to 1985 and the people were chain smoking, that's accurate.
That's pretty accurate. That's very accurate. Absolutely. It's tense. There's money at stake, time, clock is ticking. You're telling the technical director, set up for the next live shot, set up for the one after that. Meanwhile, you're rolling, if you're doing live shots, and we didn't have live shots. Can you imagine me directing in a time when there were live shots? Go to the live truck in, Mill Creek. Well, we don't have the live truck there. That's what it would have been. So,
all right. So after that, you go to Tennessee. What'd you do in Tennessee?
I shot for a country music show, and then I shot for news there, primarily doing features.
Okay. Talk about shooting for news.
Well, I didn't. I knew halfway through my tenure at Channel 4. And I look back on my early days in shooting in Nashville, was I really didn't like talking to people about tragedies. So I knew ultimately news was not going to be my place, because I didn't want to know the horrific details of any story. I wanted to shoot trees with sunlight coming through them and light dappling on sidewalks, and kids with puppies and seniors in nursing homes with Boy Scouts, doing crafts. I wanted to do features. So in Nashville, I was lucky enough, there was, the country music industry, and I worked on a couple shows as a videographer, telling photo essay stories and that kind of stuff. My first live shot ever was with Dolly Parton, and I had to put a lavalier mic on her. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding. She was all class, and finally grabbed the mic from me because I was paralyzed with fear. And she grabbed the mic and put the mic on herself. And then we did the live shot and never saw her again after that live. That's my one claim to fame in Nashville. But I didn't particularly like news. I liked the storytelling part of being a shooter, video essays, that kind of stuff. So
then you end up a new perspective for just a brief
perspective.
Time.
A brief time of a mere 20 years.
Okay.
Working pretty much with corporate clients, some commercial clients, as we were talking earlier about Mon Valley and Duquesne, where you and I met, through CO2 and Suzanne. But that was a pure director, producer, behind the camera shooting experience. And account rep. I had a handful of clients as well. So through all of that experience, the first question is typically, when was an incident when you said there's a time where you felt I knew you were going to ask
that's BS, where it could be corporate culture, it could be poor communication by people around you, lack of leadership. So this isn't your personal time. That's next.
Yeah.
This is just time when you saw BS and you said that you had to just say that's BS.
So I saw BS and I had to call it to myself.
You could call it yourself. You could have called it over a beer to your buddies. You could have called it out to the boss and got in trouble.
Gosh, Dave, I really have to think about this. I should have done more homework, because Suzanne gave me plenty of time and information to think about this. Wow. Can we come back to that?
Yeah, that's bullshit, but
let's come back to that. Let's come back to that. All right,
so let's go with your biggest learning experience, the first person on the No BS show who couldn't come up with any BS that they've seen in the workplace.
No, it's not because I'm that good. I'm really trying to think of. I've seen it countless times.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent. That's what we could do.
Talk
about a learning experience when maybe you were the BS employee, a tough boss, or maybe your communication wasn't what it needed to be. Looking back, when do you think you might have been guilty of some BS?
Well, I think any time you're in a, let's call it corporate management position, I think sometimes BS/embellishment. Can I use that word, embellishment? You're going to, sometimes you bend and you tell the troops what you think they want to hear. And it may not be a lie, so to say, but it could be manipulating and twisting and sculpting the information in a way that might be a little bit more palatable right now at this time and this place. You can't always have your door closed. So when it is open and people come in, you want to be on the level with them, but sometimes there's information that you hold back or something because you have to. If it's strategic, if it's yet to be announced or determined. So I think there were many times in my tenure when I was leading the production department at New Perspective where I've had to weigh the impact of this information right now delivered as opposed to keeping it to myself because I know the management or ownership team isn't ready to deliver that. So the bullshit is not necessarily in the information, but in the lack of presentation of it. Does that make sense?
Sure. So when we were sitting in my office at Duquesne University, and I was heading up PR, communications, and everything, and you and Suzanne and I were sitting in my office, and I said, Mark, my budget's really strapped tight, and I can remember this vividly. And I said, Mark, can you help me out on this? And you went, Dave, that's the absolute lowest we can go. Was that bullshit?
No, I never miss. I'm going to say piss around with numbers because there's too many stakeholders on the budget side. And I think it wasn't one of those, let me go see what my general manager can do on the finance kind of thing, or let me go see what I can get upstairs to do about this. I would have had at that time full authority to make that cost decision on behalf of the company. That, if anything, I would have bullshitted about maybe an angle on creative.
That's what I was going to say.
But not
Were you
on
bullshitting me
numbers.
when you agreed with putting the swimmer as the last shot in the first ever commercial we did together at Monongahela Valley Hospital?
No, because it
you
was
went, that's a great idea. Was that bullshit? I'm just trying to assess our relationship.
You have to do this. First off, right now, you're trying to work a couple different things on me here. And I applaud that. I think you're doing a great job, and you're probably going to get it out of me before I leave here. But I think that to that question, that one question right there about the swimmer, that was a great commercial. The whole thing was, I had to be reminded that we shot 16 millimeter film because nobody's doing that anymore.
But that was a big deal in 1997.
It was a huge deal. And I think if any kind of bullshit, we might have been pushing film to everybody at that time because it was, it was the last bastion for craftspeople in production to hold on to before this electronic digital wave swept in.
Okay.
So a lot of us were pushing film.
All right, because I'm going to keep going to
please do. This is a good exercise for me too.
So you still have no example of BS in your past?
I remember, Suzanne, we had a client that wanted to do a swimmer shot at the end of a spot. And I remember saying, I love that idea. We are shooting a swimmer. Nancy, get a swimmer. we had a swimmer.
The hospital's admissions soared after that commercial.
Well, there were swimmers that, up until that point, there was policy we would not take any swimmers in our ER.
All the local school district swimmers said, I can go to the hospital now.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you even had a WPIAL swim meet in your whirlpool area.
Yes,
so,
we did.
No, I'm going to think about the BS thing, and I will give you something.
Let's move to that. You mentioned Sinek, and here Simon Sinek.
Oh, Simon
Sinek, great book about your why. And so what I combine is his version of that saying, your why, your reason for being. I combine the marketing version. The marketing version combines his and this. It's you should know your reason for being. And I often talk about the Mass Solutions reason for being, but then you need to know your customer's reason for buying. So those are the two whys as a marketer.
Yeah.
When you're just running the company, you need that first why. But when you're doing what we do, you have to have the first and the second why have to meld together to come up with one big idea that is really a memorable message.
Sure.
So throughout your career, what has been your reason for being and your customer's reason for buying that came together to be your big idea?
Well, look, I think that I love what I do as a shooter director. I love that. So that is part of my reason for being. And I think that all of us, we're really blessed with a great production and great marketers in this city. We might be Pittsburgh 25th, 26th market, but there's been a legacy here, proven and tested and proven, of marketers and production people. So I think that because I love that, because we have this tremendous legacy, which I like to think I'm a part of, that is my why. That's my why every day. Mm-hmm. And you ask the customers why? What did you ask me? Their reason for buying me or my brand or services or products. Well, I think I can cut right to the chase on that. How many times have you heard, and how many times have you heard, Susan, in the agency world or production world, well, you're the expert on this, you tell me. Have you heard that a lot?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I've heard it forever, and I hear it all the time. You're the expert. What should I do? I think clients now, there's so much noise out there, content noise, all kind of noise, that customers are looking more than ever to figure out who's the expert on it that can help them. And I'm just talking about production. I'm not solving the world's problems, but production, content. Who's the expert on that can help me navigate through all of this? And if you're lucky enough to get that opportunity where somebody says, you're the expert, you tell me. And then if you're fortunate to have put all the ducks in a row and have successful outcomes, exceed any expectations that were on the table when you started, then that's the why for the client, whether they're a commercial, whether it's a commercial or a corporate piece or a political advertisement. What's the ultimate outcome for that one? Is that the man or woman candidate is elected and they move on. You've done a lot of that is strategy and knowing numbers and all that. You know, production people come in at the end and do the spot, and then it moves on. But the creative and strategy behind all of that has been done. But for corporate production, my thing is, you want to make the client be the hero when they go back to the office. They go back to the C-level suite, the boardroom, the executive level, the maintenance shop, their office area. You want them to be the hero when they go back, to come back with this trophy video and lay it down in front of folks and say, okay, let's use that on multiple cross-platform now and let's see it work. And then we know on the production side ideas on how to track the ROI on that. Do they go back now and take that video content, and have they figured out how to use it to generate leads or track the ROI so they can say, we're making some progress with this piece? So that's the why and the buy for the client side from my point of view.
That's the big idea from Mark Fallone of Phenomenon Post. Visit nobullshitmarketing.biz for show notes, plus additional marketing and messaging resources. All kinds of show notes today will be impressive for you, always in beta. Or you sign up for light reading. You'll receive valuable strategies every other week to improve your marketing and transform your message. It really is light, intended to be read in 2 minutes or less, and it just might trigger bright ideas for you. To sign up, visit masssolutions.biz. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea, and build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions.